Hello, class. Good day. My name is Ab Abubakar from Department of Mathematical Sciences, Bio University, Kano. Uh, as we are all aware that this course, GSP 3201, Philosophy and Logic, will not take place online. So I'm here to explain more about the lecture notes, which is going to be provided on the website, which you can always go there and download and try to explore more. And as we all know that this course has 8 modules, and I will be taking you module 7, which is relationship between logic and science with application in social sciences and humanities. So the outline of our talk will be introduction and preliminaries, logic, science, relationship between logic and science, application of logic in social science, finally application of logic in humanities. And what our objectives is to give you a flashback on what we already know about logic, and then also remind ourselves about what science is all about. And then we try to relate logic with science. And finally, as an application, we try to see the relationship between logic and social sciences and the relationship between logic and humanities. So what is logic? Logic is concerned with reasoning and valid inference, and perhaps other topics that can come out of this. What is an inference? This is very important. So logic is concerned with reasoning and valid inference. So what is an inference? An inference means to deduce something or to deduce a conclusion from a given premise. So given any statement or a proposition, there is always a premise and a conclusion. And the process of using the premise to draw that conclusion is what is called inference. Example, if we say, for example, Adam is a man, and we also have another statement which says all men are mortal. So we have two premises. First one is Adam is a man, and the second is all men are mortal. So one can easily infer that or draw a conclusion that Adam is mortal. Why? Because Adam is a man and all men are mortal. So Adam being a man will automatically be mortal. So the issue is always not on the form or the way the statement is written. Or we can say it is always the form, not the subject matter that makes it valid. Why? Because we can give another example. For example, now, if we say Socrates is a goat, and then we have another statement which says all goats can fly. So we can infer that Socrates can fly. However, if we consider another example, I will go to work either today or either tomorrow or today. And the second statement says, I am going to stay at home today. So one can infer that I will go to work tomorrow. However, this conclusion may be somehow complicated. Why? Because there is possibility that I may stay at home today, and from what I said, I will go to work either tomorrow or today. If I stay at home today, by my premise, I should go to work tomorrow. But there is possibility that I may wake up not feeling fine or sick the next day, which makes this conclusion not to be true. Now, if all premises are true, we can be sure that the conclusion is also true. In this case, it is the case where the conclusion is forced on us by the premise. Now, all three of these examples we have given are valid arguments. But here is an example which is not on the slide. I'm going to give an example of an argument which is not valid. And this is either the butler is guilty or the maid is guilty. The second statement says either the maid is guilty or the cook is guilty. Therefore, either the butler is guilty or the cook is guilty. Now, this argument is invalid because the conclusion could be false even if both premises are true. For example, if the maid were to be guilty, but the butler and the cook were both innocent, then both premises would be true and the conclusion would be false. So an argument is called sound when it is both valid and has two premises. Premise in the case where the premise is one. Now let's move to the next item, which is science. Like I said earlier, we are going to remind ourselves about science. Now, to learn the truth about the world must be studied scientifically. And the aim of science is to discover general truths with which the facts we encounter can be explained. So if the facts we encounter cannot be explained, then the aim of science, to some extent, has been defeated. Now, what is an explanation? What do you mean by explanation? And every explanation gives an account, a set of statements from which the thing to be explained can be logically inferred. So an explanation gives an account, a set of statements from which the thing to be explained can be logically inferred. That is, if you can infer it, if you can draw some conclusion from it logically, and that's what we call an explanation. Now, patients suffer from diabetes because of their insulin deficiency. So when we say Q because P, that may express either an explanation or an argument. It expresses an argument when we are inferring the conclusion Q from the premise P. It expresses an explanation when facing the fact of Q. Our reasoning moves back from the fact to discover the circumstances that led to it. Now, next is the relationship between logic and science. Like I said, this is just to give us some hint on the lecture notes. So many things here are summarized. But if you go to the lecture note, there are so many things that are broken. Now, one answer that comes to mind is that logic provides a language or perhaps a syntax for modeling scientific discourse. So the relationship between logic and science is that logic will provide a language or a syntax with which scientific discourse can be modeled. Avicenna, the reference A, himself seems to have believed as much when he writes, the relation of logic to inner reflection, which is called internal reasoning, is like the relation of grammar to the explicit interpretation, which is called external reasoning, and like the relation of prosody to the point. If you go to the lecture notes, you get to know more about the theory of Avicenna in this reference A. Next is application of logic in social sciences. Social sciences, which include economics, sociology, and anthropology, are often distinguished from the natural sciences and are thought to be fundamentally different. Humans are self-interpreting, and our beliefs about ourselves can have an effect on ourselves. Anthropology deals with the economic activities of simple societies, whereas economics studies the economic activities of complex societies. Application of logic to humanities. Logic was one of the central disciplines with every student in the incoming classes required to study it. Humanities, which is study of human cultures, includes history, languages, law, politics, literature, performing art, religion. There is no doubt an intimate relation between logic and law. That you cannot dispute. There is a huge intimate relation between logic and law. And law is one of the items listed under humanities. This fact is glaring from the expressions we frequently hear from the trial of a well-contested case, where you will see that the best legal talent has been employed on both sides. We often hear this expression that the lawyer for the defense gave a very logical argument to the jury. Or we can also hear the plaintiff's attorney introduce his evidence in a logical manner. So it means the lawyers also have to use logical ways of expressing themselves in order to defend who they are defending, or in order to see that who they are trying to prosecute is held accountable or found guilty, as the case may be. So thank you very much for listening. The lecture note will be available online, as I said earlier. So thank you for your time, and see you during our lecture time online. If you have any question, you can always ask. So thank you.